Hi, it's Jared from Strongroots Farm. We're back with another video. Today, it's kind of a mishmash video. We have lots of stuff going on the farm. We're kind of sending kids in different directions with different small projects, changing the oil in my wife's vehicle. But one main specific thing that I do want to show you is how we clean out our birdhouses in the spring. Our birdhouses are kind of a good addition to our farm. They bring in the wildlife, all those kind of nice things. It is nice to have, pretty birds floating around. But I bought into this idea that bringing birdhouses, not only when it brought birds in for the beauty of it, would help my flies around my cattle, right? Would help protect my cattle from flies with no chemicals. I didn't have to do the work, the birds did the work. It was a win-win kind of a situation. And this is one of those things that's kind of really hard to quantify. If we measure flies, pressure from year to year, it changes due to weather, how fast you're moving, how well the grass is growing, how resistant your cattle are genetically to the flies, how, they get the slick skin, it keeps the flies off. Did putting these birdhouses up really help our flies? I'm hard to say yes. I do believe they did, but it's really hard to quantify to show you that in a scientific manner to say you should invest your time and money into birdhouses. But I believe it helps us. There's many benefits on the farm for adding birdhouses. But one thing I've learned is that they have to be cleaned a certain way. So you have to clean them out every spring so that new birds come into those birdhouses. So that's what we're gonna do today. I will show you the solution. We'll show you how we do it, along with all the other projects you might get to see. We're gonna move cows and do some mowing, lots of other things going on today. Stick around with us. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. If you've been following along with us here on our channel, we have been at a youth minister's house, kind of redoing their house. It's been a big project. It's cut into my videos. It's cut into my work here on the farm, but it's a good thing. But there are lots of tools now. So I got bags full of tools. I've got a workbench full of junk just because I've been busy doing other things. All my saws and all this stuff is kind of strung out. My kids are working on a go-kart and a racing lawnmower. My shop's a disaster. So we're gonna start today by getting that worked on. At the same time, I'm gonna be changing the oil in my wife's Traverse. So that's when I'm gonna start on the project. And I've got one kid starting on the lawnmower. I mowed this week, but it's been a lot of rain. And so he's gonna mow again just because the grass is growing quick and it's kind of bogged up. And then after that, we're gonna service that lawnmower. So I typically service twice a year. I service mid towards the end of the season. We do a little kind of checkup before we put it away. And then we're gonna mow 2 or 3 times in the spring. And then it's always wet in the spring when we're mowing. So today we're gonna clean, resharpen blades, do all that on the lawnmower. But my other son is gonna be doing the birdhouses. So we have these around our farm everywhere. We built these a few years ago. I think we have around 20 of them right now on a 30-acre farm. Just to give you kind of a good point, we try to stay at minimum 100 feet. So there's one here, there's one right over here by the trailer, and that's probably 150 feet away. There's one down this line in the corner. There's one over here behind us. That's kind of just around the barn. We didn't put a lot around the barn because there's so many other places for birds to nest, like in the barn. They can actually get in our one feed barn here. There's other trees around here. So there's lots of places for them to nest. But if you want a good ratio on how many birdhouses, 3 to 4 per acre is what I was shooting for as a beginning number. The design of these birdhouses, they've changed over time. The dimensions have changed over time. We get a lot of rough cut actual 1x6. They have a folding down door in the front so that you can lift it up and let the bird in. It does have a 1-inch hole, maybe an 1.5 inch hole, somewhere between there and the front. Some people have the door at the bottom where you can drop the bottom door. We put a longer back on so we can raise them up off the post. We want them high enough that the cattle's nose couldn't touch. Some of these, this was a first rendition. That's why it's here where cattle don't actually get. It's smaller. I have learned that the minimum of the inside dimension needs to be 6x6. So I tend to use a 1x6 and a 1x8 to give me that 6x6 internal. And that seems to be working better than these smaller. Some of these just got a little small when we first started putting them in. We do use nails everywhere on them except for the top. Here I used a screw for this pivot joint that I just broke off. And so there's your hole. So we'll go around, we'll pull these screws out, we'll pull the nail out that is our locking pin, and we'll spray them with a bleach water solution. I'll show you that. All right, this is our bleach water solution. So I just wing this thing, right? I put about, that much into it there, and then top it off with hot water. What we'll do is we'll clean out the birdhouse, and then we'll spray all the inside of the door, even some of the outside where the bird would go in, the hole. Get that all sprayed with this to kill any bacteria or mites or anything like that that might affect the eggs in the nest or prevent a bird from being in there. I've seen ants, I've seen wasps, I've seen worms. We get all those brushed out, we spray the area down with this, and it kind of prevents those things, and it's not very harsh. We do this once a year. It's best to do it February to March, but here we are at the beginning of April, so we're a little bit behind the times. I told my son today, if he sees a bird that's already started to build a new nest, just let it go, let that birdhouse go, but otherwise get them cleaned out so that the birds will put a nest in there and they'll be safe and they won't get sick. So he'll go along, my oldest son will go along, he's done this before, he'll go along, got some drills, some extra screws, a brush to brush stuff out, gloves to pull anything that's out of there, wasps, it's cold enough right now, he shouldn't have a problem with wasps, but typically we'll have a can of wasp spray or something. I'm not sending him with that. We shouldn't have that. It's cold, and that's another reason February is kind of a better time to do this. We get them all brushed out and cleaned, and then we spray that solution on them. All right, so I'm gonna run through this once with my son so he can go do the rest, just to kind of refresher. I thought that'd be a good way. I'm gonna show him how to do it and then show you what we're gonna do at each one. So these screws that we put in, for some reason, they broke off. We need new screws. That's part of that. So the first thing we're gonna do is clean this out, which we did. We took our gloves, cleaned out the old nest in here. Now we're gonna take our brush and brush it out. All right, so we're gonna take our brush. Get me the spray there, Colt. Brush everything out really good. Brush off the top. Okay, next we're gonna spray it down with our solution. It just needs to look wet, Colt. Inside of our door, in the hole there. All right, that looks pretty good. Okay, so these two screws have meant to be here and be our hinge, and then we've got like a locking nail. So that nail, this little nail went in there at a diagonal angle to allow it to flex on these screws, and then our nail essentially is our door lock. So I'm gonna replace these two screws, but I gotta get that nail back in the same spot. And you want these screws to go in straight. All right, so maybe that was over talkative and over explanation of how to do that, but that's it. We put it back together now. This one's good. The hinge comes up. Hopefully we get some birds in there. He's gonna go and do the whole rest of the farm now. Well, there you have it. That's how we get our birdhouses ready in the spring for our birds to help with our flies. If you haven't been following along, we got the pigs moved out to the outside, and they've been out here probably 3 days. It's really amazing. There were big piles of manure and bedding and lumps in here, and they've already started to knock it down and play in it. Lots of room for them out here. They're sunbathing, and they're also, it's just awesome for them. This is a great environment. It seems weird. When I first heard how to do a pigerator, I thought it was just weird. Like, my grandfather would kill me for putting corn in manure, but we only did that once. There's not a lot in here, so there's not a lot of digging, but they really enjoy it in here, and there's a lot of digging, and that's what really builds great compost. So maybe I'll do another video on that, but I highly recommend allowing your pigs to be where your cows were in the winter. Hope that video helped. It was short, weird, lots of thrown in stuff there, nothing really organized, but hopefully that helped you on the birdhouses. Have any questions for us, put them down in the comments. Appreciate everybody watching. Until next time.